The audience at The Late Show with Stephen Colbert was expecting a nostalgic and fun night with Sylvester Stallone, the iconic action hero behind Rocky and Rambo. But what unfolded shocked everyone in the studio, and later millions online. Things began smoothly enough. Colbert welcomed Stallone with applause, asking about his latest project and his storied Hollywood legacy. But tension crept in when the host pivoted the conversation to politics, specifically referencing comments Stallone had made in the past about masculinity in films. "You think maybe the old-school macho stuff needs to evolve?" Colbert asked with a grin. Stallone, visibly annoyed, replied, "I think men being men isn't something that needs your permission." The air shifted immediately. The audience chuckled nervously, unsure if it was part of a bit. Colbert tried to keep the tone light, but Stallone's face had already hardened. From that moment on, it was clear the interview had left the safe zone and was heading into dangerous territory. Colbert pressed forward, perhaps thinking he could smooth things over with humor. "I'm just saying, Rocky today might be more into therapy than throwing punches," he joked. Stallone didn't laugh. "Rocky fought his battles in the ring, not on Twitter," he shot back. "Maybe that's why people still remember him." A few claps echoed from the crowd, but mostly there was tension. Colbert, trying to regain control, chuckled and shifted slightly in his seat, saying, "Hey, I love Rocky as much as anyone. I'm just asking the questions." That's when Stallone leaned in, visibly agitated, and replied, "Maybe stop asking ones that insult everything I built." It was no longer playful. What had started as banter had become a full-blown clash of values, modern satire versus old-school grit. Producers reportedly signaled Colbert to wrap the segment early, but the host attempted to salvage the exchange. Unfortunately, things were already spiraling fast beyond repair. Instead of calming down, Stallone doubled down. He began criticizing the state of modern Hollywood, accusing studios and late-night hosts alike of watering down real stories to fit weak narratives. Colbert, now visibly tense, responded by suggesting that stories should evolve with the times, to which Stallone said, "Not everything needs a soft edge. The world isn't soft." At that moment, the divide between guest and host was painfully clear, not just in age or career, but in worldview. The audience, sensing the confrontation, was no longer entertaining but genuinely uncomfortable, remained silent. A producer offstage reportedly gestured to cut to commercial, but Stallone was still mid-rant, now referencing cancel culture, political correctness, and how you can't even have a tough guy in a movie without someone getting offended. Colbert, attempting one last jab, asked if he thought that attitude had aged well. "It's aged better than this interview," Stallone snapped back. The room fell into a surreal silence, broken only by the faint whirring of cameras still rolling. Colbert blinked, as if surprised by the intensity of the insult. Stallone, rising from his chair, removed his mic and dropped it onto the table, not tossed but firmly placed, like a move rehearsed but delivered with conviction. "I don't need this," he said flatly, addressing no one in particular. Security, unsure whether this was part of a planned stunt or a real incident, began moving hesitantly toward the stage. But Colbert finally stood up, signaling producers to cut the segment entirely. "We're going to take a break," he said awkwardly, turning to face the camera. Stallone was already off camera, making his way backstage without acknowledging anyone. The audience, still stunned, offered a scattered, uncertain applause as the screen faded to a hasty commercial. In just a few tense minutes, an interview had turned into a headline. Backstage, things didn't improve. According to reports from crew members, Stallone was furious. He allegedly told staff that he was misled about the nature of the interview, believing it would focus on his film and career rather than cultural criticism. "I'm not here to be your punching bag," he was overheard saying. Meanwhile, Colbert remained on set, visibly rattled as producers worked quickly to reshuffle the rest of the night's taping. The next guest was reportedly asked to avoid any controversial topics entirely. Within the hour, news of the incident began spreading on social media. Someone in the audience had already uploaded a blurry clip of Stallone's walk-off, and hashtags like Stallone storms off and Colbert clash were trending. Fans on both sides of the political and entertainment spectrum began weighing in, some calling Stallone a legend for standing his ground, others accusing him of being thin-skinned and unable to handle questions outside his comfort zone. 3. Network released a vague statement the next day. We regret the segment did not go as planned and respect both our guest and our audience. But the internet demanded more. Was this a publicity stunt gone wrong? A generational clash? Or something deeper? A sign of the growing divide in how celebrities expect to be treated versus how hosts feel entitled to challenge them. While Colbert returned to air with a subtle jab about not all guests playing nice, he didn't directly reference the incident. Stallone, on the other hand, issued a bold statement through his representative. Sylvester Stallone believes in honest conversation, not ambushes disguised as interviews. He stands by everything he said. The statement was received with thunderous support by his fan base, many of whom had long felt that Stallone's no-nonsense image had been unfairly marginalized in a world leaning into satire and sensitivity. Other celebrities began weighing in, with some defending Colbert's approach as the job of a host, to challenge, to poke, to provoke, while others felt Stallone was right to draw the line. Joe Rogan commented during his podcast that Stallone's generation wasn't trained to perform for woke approval, while comedian Sarah Silverman tweeted, "If you can't take a joke, don't sit at the table." The entire spectacle turned into a broader conversation about the nature of interviews, celebrity expectations, and where the line is between respectful questions and disrespectful baiting. Meanwhile, late-night television, often accused of being predictable and overly rehearsed, had suddenly delivered an unscripted moment that felt incredibly real. Whether you saw Stallone as a relic or a rebel, there was no denying that the tension had pierced through the usual wall of polished PR and studio smiles. Interestingly, Stallone's upcoming film, which had little media attention prior, saw a dramatic spike in online searches and trailer views. Pre-orders and early screenings jumped, with fans expressing support through ticket purchases and streaming interest. Some accused Stallone of manufacturing the moment for publicity, but others pointed to his genuine frustration and unfiltered reaction as evidence that it wasn't planned. Insiders from his team insisted that the walk-off had hurt his press schedule, not helped it, with multiple follow-up appearances on other shows quietly canceled in the aftermath. Still, controversy sells, and in this case, it seemed to sell Stallone better than any studio promo campaign could have. Ironically, the very platform that had tried to challenge his persona had now supercharged its relevance. In some ways, Stallone's unflinching walkout had cemented his legendary status for an entirely new generation of viewers. As for Colbert, some viewers praised him for not escalating the argument further, maintaining a level of composure under pressure. Others criticized him for pushing the interview too far. One media critic noted that late-night television walks a razor-thin line between entertainment and provocation, and this moment proved just how fragile that balance can be. Behind the scenes, sources say Colbert was genuinely surprised by how quickly the interview unraveled. Producers have since adjusted their pre-show briefings to better clarify discussion boundaries, especially for guests who are more traditional or prone to strong reactions. Though no formal apology was issued, it's clear the show is treating the fallout seriously. Meanwhile, clips of the altercation have racked up millions of views, with analysts predicting the segment will be dissected in media classrooms for years to come. A study in power, perception, and performance under pressure. In the end, the moment marked more than just a late-night disruption. It became a cultural flashpoint. Stallone reminded everyone that beneath the scripted charm of celebrity interviews, real emotion and values still live. Colbert, while known for satire and clever jabs, met an immovable force that didn't flinch for laughs. Whether it was a clash of egos, a misunderstanding, or a reflection of deeper societal tensions, the event pulled back the curtain on the friction between legacy icons and modern platforms. It challenged viewers to consider what kind of discourse they really want from public figures, polished promotion, or passionate truth. And most of all, it proved one timeless rule in entertainment. When something real happens on camera, no matter how uncomfortable, no one can look away. For better or worse, the night Sylvester Stallone was kicked off Colbert's show is now part of talk show legend.